All right. Is this thing working? Is this thing working? Let's see. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. Ha! How does... Oh, 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 it didn't crash. It didn't crash. It didn't crash. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. This side needs to be a little bit adjusted. Okay. It didn't crash. It didn't crash. Okay. Okay. So where am I? Where am I? Bum 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 bum. What happened? I'm in an old world. This is Catlandu. This world is called Catlandu. I made this like before the Nether update. It's ancient. It's ancient. This is an ancient world before the Nether update. And this is like the skeleton spawner that I made in order to like do enchantments, because that's how I did it back in the day. Because I had nothing else. You know, that was it. That was it, dude. This is how I got XP for a long time. This place used to be covered in torches. Because back in the day, monsters could spawn in light level 14, or not 14, 7 or lower. Well, what is light level 7? Can you show me? No. I don't know where it becomes light level 7 and light level 8. I can't tell. Since I couldn't tell, I just plastered the area with torches, which like gets the job done, but it looks real bad, you know. So since then they updated the game, and now the monsters can only spawn in light level of 0. So it has to be pitch black in order for monsters to spawn. So if there's just even a little bit of light, they can't do it. So with that, I went through and I cleared out a lot of the torches, and I had like 3 stacks of torches that I had just like ran through here and plastered everywhere. So that's good that you know I took that out. It's nice to go back to old worlds to see like what did you do? What happened here? I dug out a lot of stuff. It's all necessary in order to get the blocks needed for my projects. And you can tell, right? There's no copper anywhere. Why? Because copper was introduced later. There's no copper in my world. And also, the lowest my world goes right now is to like Y level like 8. Because any lower is bedrock, and I can't go any. It used to be bedrock. I can now. Ooh, gotta hide my frame rates. Anymore. Now I can go deeper, but before I could not go deeper. Here's the iron farm that's broken. I gotta, you know, all the iron farms are broken now. I don't know why. I have to go through and maybe like break the beds and try them again. I don't know, but they're all broken right now. Okay, yeah, this is my old world, man. And you can I had been building something in order to make a point. Like Let me show you. Let me show you the point I was making. Here's the point I was making. If you divided American society into quintiles, which is 20%, so you have 5 groups, right? 5 groups of 20%. You have the lowest 20, the second lowest, the middle 20, the second highest, and the highest 20%. In terms of wealth, how much money do you own minus how much do you owe? If you're rich, that's a very big positive number. So these are pre-COVID numbers, right? These are before COVID. Before COVID. So these numbers are not exactly accurate, but let's pretend as if each block were $10,000. The bottom poorest 20% of Americans would have a net worth of minus $6,000. They would literally be in the hole. That's them at the bottom. They're in the hole. The next lowest, the next 20%. So that's the bottom poorest people. But then the next 20% of people, the second poorest people, you know, if you pull all their assets together and you minus away their liabilities, their debt, they have a net worth of $7,000. Terrible, right? Terrible. That's not even a full block. I have to have this over them, otherwise the sun will melt the snow. That's why I have it like this. Okay, the middle class in America has a net worth generally of $68,000. So that's like that's like 7 blocks, about 7 blocks. Remember, this is before COVID, before inflation. You'd have to like double these numbers now. All right. The next 20% have a net worth of this is like the second highest. This is the second highest group. They generally have a net worth of $205,000. That means their house is paid off, dude. That means they own their house. It's paid off. And like they're sitting on it, and they have no, and their bills are paid. They have no debt. They're like chilling up there. They're really well off, right? They're I mean, no, I wouldn't say they're really well off, right? If you live in a house and it's paid off and you have no debt, that sounds pretty good. These guys, the middle class of the United States of America, don't even own their own. I mean, like, aren't even out of the hole. Because if they live in a home, you have to minus the amount of money they owe on the home. They don't really own the home. The bank owns the home. You're just living in it until you can pay it off. So that's even the middle class is not out from under the out from underneath debt, right? Not until you're in the top 20% of Americans or the top 40% of Americans do you start getting to the point where you're not in debt anymore. You're not paying off college. You're not paying off your car. You're not paying off your mortgage anymore. You're home free, dude. You live in your own home and you own it, right? Well, yeah, that's like this is the American dream. People say, "Oh yeah, I want to like have a house." No, dude. Just because you live in a house doesn't mean you own it. So this is what people want. That's what people want. People want to be debt free and have like the means by which to live, like to secure their shelter, their food, and their shelter and their food. And their mobility, I guess. Okay, not until you get to the top 20%. The richest 20% of Americans does the average net worth start getting ridiculous. The richest people have an average net worth of $630,000 before COVID. So maybe it's more like $1 million now. I don't know. But what I want to say is that yeah, now in 2023, this doesn't look so bad. when houses are like, well, actually, it does look, yeah, kind of. Oh no, dude, when houses are are like $300,000, that's not looking so bad, you know. But this is before COVID, so yeah, the richest people had about that much, and then the millionaires who have like are literally making the money like through their labor and getting paid for their labor, um in terms of, a paycheck. They make 0.002% of the population of America. They make over $1 million. They have 100 bricks. So I want you to look at this and think of like what do people have? These people here are in debt. These people here have like 7 grand to their name. That's it. And so maybe they own their car and that's about it. And they're or the yeah, that's about it. They own their car. Okay. The middle class here probably owns a home, but they had to go into debt to own the home. So you have to minus that debt from their deal, and they're paying off their education. So that's another debt you have to take off. So, but like these guys probably own their home. Like they probably own their home. They're done. They're done paying. They're just, I don't know. So it's these people that I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned with these guys who own their home, these guys paying off their home, and these guys with like nothing. I want to help these guys out because these guys look terrible, you know? It's this guy I'm concerned about. It's not even the millionaire, right? Not even the millionaire, because like the yellow line going to the top isn't that much farther from the next one down, from the richest Americans. No, I'm concerned with this big structure. And you're like, well, what the hell is that big structure? Now understand, right? Each block is $10,000. So so this, if you want to put $70,000, that's 7 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you want to put $1 million, that's 100 blocks of $10,000. So that's why it's way, 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 way up there. Hoorah! All right. So now we're standing on top of $1 million. Down there's the richest 20% of Americans, and underneath that thing there are the poorest Americans you can't even see. $1 million, that's a lot of money for one person, right? That seems like a lot of money for one family. Okay, now imagine if you take $1 million and you make another stack right next to it. That's another $1 million. That's $2 million. And then another stack. That's $3 million. Do you see what's coming on? Each stack, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, and you're gonna go all the way out. You're gonna go all the way out. 6 million, 7 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, 80 million, 90 million, $100 million. That is $100 million of net worth in comparison to the average American who you can't even see. $100 million. If a person's worth $100 million, that's what they look like compared to the average American. Okay, now, but I'm not really, I'm kind of concerned about people with $100 million, but really, there's a few more people, there's people I'm even more interested in than them. So if you take that $100 million and you do it again, another slice of it, that's 200 million. Another slice, 300 million. Another slice, 400 million. Another slice, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. 1,000, what? $1,000 million? We don't say $1,000 million. We say $1 billion. $1 billion. So $1 billion of net worth is a cube. Like all this is going to be filled in is a cube this big and that thick. And it's in comparison to the average American in the middle class who's got 7. How many of these guys can fit inside that giant ass cube of 1 billion that we just made? Right? How many Americans can you fit inside of one cube of $1 billion? Think of it like that. Now it's gonna get crazier. I'm gonna make it get crazier. So each one of these is each like giant chunk like this is $1 billion. $1 billion of net worth in comparison to the average American right there, like in the middle, to the wealthy Americans right there, to the poor Americans in the hole over there. This is one guy. That's $1 billion. Like, I need to make another line straight up so like it matches. But anyways, and then I should have brought a minecart up here. Minecart. Regarde. Okay, so every time I go, that's 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, 6 billion, 7 billion, 8 billion, 9 billion. Like, think about 3 billion between each of these powered rails. What I'm doing is I'm showing you what $100 billion of net worth looks like. So we already got 1 billion, which is way over there, and we're stacking them end to end to make $100 billion, and we're getting to that. Ooh, what a nice little. $100 billion. That's what I'm trying to get to. Remember, Elon Musk was worth like 200 billion. I think he's down to somewhere around $150 billion. So even this thing that I'm making right now doesn't symbolize exactly how much how much money does Elon Musk have. It is absurd how much money he has. We're making $100 billion. 100. You can't even see where like we started from. Do you see how like having this much personal wealth kind of makes you an alien to the rest of humans? Look at this stupid amount of wealth. Oh, there's the end. There's the end. Finally. $100 billion of net worth in comparison to every other American. If you're rich or poor, this is what $100 billion looks like. It's insane, right? It's insane. It hurts my head. And because of it, because of the vast amounts of money he has. Remember, Elon Musk wields a tremendous amount of influence. And what has Elon Musk done with his tremendous amount of influence? He's given his ear to despots and authoritarians like Putin, and carried water for Putin, and shaped the battlefield for Putin. That's what $100 billion. That's what $100 billion of net worth gets you. Control over entire like geopolitics. Like, that's insane. How can we even like tolerate this? This is like absurd. We should be taxing billionaires, guys. All of this wealth doesn't come from nowhere, right? It's not like it just came from nowhere. It's built upon something. What's it built upon? It's built upon the amount of money that Elon Musk did not pay his workers. Because realistically, Elon Musk did not contribute $100 billion worth of labor to his companies in order to get this much wealth. He had to have gotten it from somewhere. Where did he get it? He got it by slicing off a big chunk of what belongs to the people who actually worked. and then he kept it for himself. And then when those workers go home, their own home societies are kind of terrible. And they always complain, why is our society so terrible? And the obvious answer is here, because Elon Musk, because people, not Elon Musk in particular, but because of but because of the structure that allows creatures like Elon Musk to, like, aberrations like Elon Musk to exist. I mean, look at this. This is, I mean, and there's a way to stop it, right? It's not like we have to like shrug and be like, oh well, what are we gonna do? Man, we have created, humans, Americans have created this government. This government has the power to shape the playing field and to take on entities like Elon Musk, who wield ridiculous amounts of power because of their wealth. And they only have that wealth because they stole it from the workers. So if you're interested in justice, you would expect that this vast amount of wealth hoarded by one person would be reinvested back into the society which generated the wealth to begin with. Elon Musk didn't generate this wealth. It came out of the United States, the people working, the land they worked it on, the environment, all of it from Americans, not from Elon Musk. Why does he get to control this much wealth and then turn around and go help the enemies of the United States? Look at this, and like, he can't even relate to human beings anymore. That's the vastness of his wealth. And you can see you know, it's not just me talking. You can go onto Twitter and see what has become of the place. It's awful what happened to Twitter. He wrecked it. Because he has no idea what he's doing. He equates money with competence. And that's not the way it goes. So look at this. Yeah, all of that. And this is only 1 billion. This is only 1 billion, this giant chunk. And Elon Musk has 100 of them. And you can't even see the end of it. and here's our regular Americans, man. Here's our regular Americans. Compared to Elon Musk. do you, I mean, I'm trying to get you all to understand why for so long I have been railing against these guys. And when I was in 8th grade, I did a report about the robber barons. I barely understood what I was talking about, but I think we're kind of in a new gilded age. Because how is it that we have these billionaires at the same time we have all this homelessness, and cities are like failing to be able to pay their stuff? Because why? Because billionaires, because big ass businesses aren't paying, and they're externalizing the costs of their business to society while privatizing the gains. They privatize the profits and socialize the costs. That's the nature of the game, guys. So that's why I made this world back in the day. And that's only part of it, right? Ooh, the sunrise. That's only part of it. I'm going to show you the other part. The other part is, well, what's another way of demonstrating $1 billion? What's another way of doing that? We will use the billionaire's line of injustice. Right? Nice train station, huh? Right? Nice train station. No lightning rods, because there was no copper when I made this. Okay. So you have to imagine that every brick on the billionaire's line of injustice Imagine. Ugh. Which one is the billionaire's line of injustice? This one. I'm on it. Okay. So don't be on it. Be next to it. Okay. Imagine each brick on the billionaire's line of injustice, starting from that one right there. Each brick is $100,000. $100,000. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. We don't say $100,000. We say 1 million. So remember, that's equivalent to one line. Like it's equivalent to that line. That's $1 million. If you did it in $10,000 blocks, it would look that long. But we're mashing them together. We're condensing them down into $100,000. So that's 10 bricks to make $1 million. So if we say every single brick on this train line is equal to $100,000 and every 10 bricks is equal to $1 million, how long would the train line be to indicate $1 billion? Let's find out. Because that would, if you take $100,000 and times it by 10,000, that equals 1 billion. So I made a train line 10,000 blocks long. It is 10,000 blocks long, made of $100,000 bricks. Let's look at how long this train line takes. Right there, right there. Whee, there we go. 100. So the powered rails I have right here, the way the powered rails work is I spaced them so that it's 32 rails between each set of 3. So about 30. Remember, we said every 10 bricks is $1 million, and there's about 30 bricks between the powered rails. So there's about $3 million between each of these powered rails, and we're trying to get to the end of to just 1 billion, just to 1 billion. Understand that Elon Musk has more than $100 billion. So this is just one slice of Elon Musk's $100 billion of net worth. Every powered rails is $3 million. How many houses could we pay for and get people off the street? How many people's healthcare? How much healthcare could we pay for and give them a good life? That they earned. That they had. That all deserve. All humans deserve. All humans deserve it. How many universities could we build? How many teachers could we hire? How many nurses? How many doctors? How many lab technicians, right? Man, labs are expensive. If you don't have health insurance, labs are blood work is real expensive. Like $100 just to do basic lab work. Ah! That's crazy. That's crazy expensive. Only in the United States, well, in the developed world, in the United States do we have the thing called medical bankruptcy. Why do we have a thing called medical bankruptcy? Why is it that people are going bankrupt to pay for medical procedures only in the United States? Why? Because our healthcare system is messed up, and people like Elon Musk exist, in which he takes from society and makes it his own so that it's privatized. It's basically an abstract version of the enclosure laws, right? All of society, everyone together in that company, in SpaceX, in Tesla, all of them work together to create value, to create a whole lot of value. But their work, they don't get paid the full value of their work. a lot of their work is skimmed off by Elon Musk. And what does Elon Musk do? More than anything, he wrecks stuff. He doesn't actually fix things, he just wrecks stuff. He hires real smart people to make things happen, but he himself doesn't. It's more like damage control. But anyways, like, if that guy were taxed properly, think about it. If we tax billionaires properly, you can invest that money back into the United States. What does it mean to invest the money back into the United States? It means jobs and infrastructure. It means housing. It means like less homeless people. We should have no homeless people. Let's be real. Like, why do we even have homeless people? What year is it? 2023? Is the United States still the richest country in the world? Why is it that the United States has homelessness? I kind of know why, right? But I'm trying to get you to. Oh shit. We're riding on the reason why. It's because remember, humans have like are limited in their understanding. They have like a frame, and they're like given this frame, and they go with it, and it like, it's like the perspective for the whole of how they perceive all of reality. And this perspective is called duality, where the world is cut in half. Like, always, the whole thing is cut in half. There's no union between anything. Everything is cut in half. And things exist relative to opposition to one another. So, black and white, hot and cold, hard and soft, whatever. And they see these things as being like separate from one another. When in reality, that's an illusion. This form of thinking is an illusion, because the duality is the separation is only is only illusionary. It's only the separation only exists on a certain level, on the material level. All you got to do is use your analytical head and use your reason to unify the phenomena. Even though hot and cold appear to be separate phenomena and not at all related, they are related. And their relation is called temperature. We figured it out. It's temperature. We know it intrinsically. We already know it, right? But a lot of people get caught up in the dualities and in the duality of it. They get caught up in the duality, and they reify the duality, and they say, no, these things are separate. They're opposite, and they're separate. And I reify their separateness, that they're not at all related. But that's an illusion, dude. That's an illusion. Remember, just like you can unify hot and cold by understanding the concept of temperature, just like you can unify social ills and wealth concentration. Like, rich and poor are not separate things. Rich and poor are like, wealth and poverty do not exist independent of one another. They may look independent, they may look separate, right? A person who's the homeless person on the street may look absolutely disconnected from Elon Musk. Like, they have no relation, it looks like. But I guarantee you that they're connected. They're connected. They're the same thing. And but you have to unify it on a higher level, on an abstract level. You can't just look at it on the phenomenal level. If you took a piece of ice and you took a lump of magma, like, you can't get caught up in it being like, oh, ice and oh, magma. No, dude, it's gradients of temperature. The thing that unifies it is the gradient that is the temperature. Temperature is what unifies it. All right, that's what unifies and if you understand temperature, then you can control, right? You can begin to manipulate, like, yeah, control, alter, change, transform. But you have to unify. You can't do it when they're separate. You have to unify. So rich and poor look separate. Like the guy walking down the street mumbling to himself, shouting incoherently that people avoid. It's like he looks like he's separate from Elon Musk, who's rambling incoherently. Look, we're still riding on his wealth, man. We haven't even finished riding on his wealth. We're trying to get to the end of $1 billion, right? I've been talking all this time. We haven't gotten even to the end of $1 billion yet. Are you feeling me? Each brick is made of $100,000. How many houses have we passed up? Like, if you imagine a house to be $300,000, every space between the powered rails is 30 houses. No, 10 houses. 10 houses. Like, how many houses have we purchased for homeless people right now? Homeless families. How many kids can now like live in a home, in a stable home? Right? Just one slice. I'm not even talking about the rest. Just one slice. And the thing is that it's not like the money just disappears, right? It's not like the money like gets dropped in a hole and we never see it again. That money, when you take it, think of money like blood. Money is like blood. It's only good when it's moving. It's only good when it's moving. If in the body, if the blood is moving around, it's fantastic. But if the blood is not moving around, it just pools up in one area and sits there, it's bad. It's bad. You don't want that to happen, just for it to sit and do nothing. You don't want that it's like bad for the body in many, many different ways. Like, and when you have fluid just sitting there doing nothing, not circulating, yeah, not good. Because the purpose of blood is not to just be blood, not to just sit there. The purpose of blood is to move things, to keep things moving, to keep things circulating. What does that mean? It means it picks up stuff and then drops things off in a different place. So that's the same thing as money. Money in it and of itself isn't anything. It's not a thing, right? It's the purpose of money is to make things happen. To pick things up from one area and to drop things off in another area. And to make that happen. That is the purpose of money. If the money is just sitting in some rich dude's bank account, getting bigger so that he has more power, it's not serving society at all. It's just sitting there being like bad, making it worse. Just like how pooling blood in the body is terrible. Oh, wait, here, check this out. We are coming up on the halfway point. This is $500 million at that point. Not even $1 billion yet. We're about halfway there. So all that resources could be pulled back into society and reshape everything. We can, I'm telling you, we can make a better world, way better than this. And we can have healthcare for everyone. We can have internet for everyone, really good internet. We can have, I don't know if the really good internet. Well, yeah, we can do it. Do it, guys. Halfway there. All we got to do is use our political power, which means to vote. You got to vote. And I think the largest group of people out there, besides who are like non-voters. Non-voters are like the large group that needs to be mobilized. It's like the giant the giant undersea part of the iceberg. If you can find a way to get non-voters to vote, it would be fantastic. So yeah, Democrats are pushing for all sorts of ways to get people to vote. I mean, in Oregon, we have like automatic voter registration. When you like renew your driver's license, you get registered to vote. And then isn't that awesome, right? You don't have to do nothing. They just register you right there. And then when it comes time to vote, as long as you're registered, you don't have to even go anywhere. They will mail you a ballot. And you don't even have to go downtown for nothing. You just got, all you do is you have like 3 weeks to check out the candidates, make your decision, and then mail it back. You don't even need a stamp to mail it back. Just fill it out, sign it, you do the thing, and then and put it in the mailbox, and they'll take care of it. Isn't that fantastic? And you think, well, what if you change your mind? Then you go down to the booth place and say, yo, I want to fill in a ballot to override the one I already deposited. And they'll do it. It's amazing. So that's why Oregon has one of the highest groups of voter participation in the country. More states should emulate Oregon. Oregon cares about democracy. Oregon, obviously, right? We want everyone to vote. We want everyone to vote. Everybody to vote. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to vote. And of course, yeah, people are going to say, what about voter fraud? Voter fraud? What voter fraud, dude? There's no voter fraud. If you can point to it, then do it. But you can't. Ah! Voter fraud, dude. Donald Trump tried to overthrow the election with violence. Don't talk to me about voter fraud. Cool. Look at that. That's kind of neat. There's a little... Okay. Anyways. So, what do we got going on here? Alright, so Oregon is trying to get more and more people interested in voting. That's fantastic. But what does it look like when you're a state that is the opposite of Oregon? That you don't want, you don't want people to vote. You don't want people to participate in democracy. What does that look like? Let me show you Wisconsin. This is a story. Am I is this called story poaching, or am I just like helping out? I don't understand. I'm just trying to educate people about like what's going on and like give context for stuff. Like, I don't know if this is like bad or good or what. I'm just trying to keep people educated. Ian Millhiser wrote in Vox, America's worst gerrymander may soon finally die. The lawsuit seeking to transform Wisconsin into a democracy explained. What do you mean into a democracy? I thought the fact that that Wisconsin was part of the United States assumed that Wisconsin was a democracy. Oh, not necessarily so. All right. Let's see here. How can I do this, dude? Alright. Oh, cancel. Hold on. Okay. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Alright, in 2010, the Republican Party had its best performance in any recent federal election, gaining 63 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives and making similar gains in many states. This election occurred right before a redistricting cycle. Moreover, the Constitution requires every state to redraw its legislative maps every 10 years, so Republicans used their large majorities in many states to draw aggressive gerrymanders. Another way of saying this is that in 2008, Barack Obama became president, and this freaked out a lot of racists. It freaked out the white supremacists in a bad way. They flipped their lids. White supremacists flipped their lids. And they got a foothold they got a stronger foothold into the Republican Party when John McCain selected Sarah Palin as the Tea Party as their as his running mate. That's kind of when, yeah, that legitimized the extremists. That legitimized the extremists. That's the Republican Party agreeing to side with extremists in order to obtain power. Anyways, so Barack Obama is the first Black American president, and this freaked out the white supremacists so badly that it drove them to the polls big time in 2010. Like, because immediately after winning the House and everything, Barack Obama and the Democrats spent 2 years wrestling, trying to pass Obamacare, and that gave a lot of ammunition to the Republicans. Racism. So they came out big time in 2010 and won all this stuff, and they gerrymandered the hell out of the maps. That's why after 2010, Barack Obama couldn't get anything done, because both the House and the Senate flipped back to GOP, and they blocked everything Barack Obama tried. So, okay. So Wisconsin was part of that dynamic. It was one of those states that flipped from Democrats to Republicans in the big wave, and then the Republicans put this big strong gerrymander in order to hold on to their power. So indeed, Wisconsin's Republican gerrymander is so aggressive that it is practically impossible for Democrats to gain control of the state legislature. In 2018, for example, Democratic state assembly candidate received 54% of the popular vote in Wisconsin, but Republicans still won 63% of the assembly's 99 seats, just 3 seats short of the 2/3 supermajority Republicans would need to override a gubernatorial veto. So wait a minute, Democrats, you're telling me Democrats had won 54% of the votes, but only got about a third of the House of the representation? That's an example of the government not representing the people. That's like the opposite of democracy. That's when the government doesn't represent the people. Oh, wait, here. Dude, here's the end of the billionaire's line. This has been a trip to $1 billion in increments of $100,000 bricks. It took all that time to get to 1 billion. Now remember, Elon Musk has not just 1 billion, he has 100 billion. So if we were going to make this into the Elon Musk line, I wouldn't have the time. I would have to go out 100,000 bricks. And I'm not going to go build a 100,000 mile long, brick long line. All right. Hey, I don't want to do that again. Let's fly it back for another perspective. So $1 billion, Elon Musk. Oh, yeah, I was talking about Wisconsin. So basically, in 2010, Wisconsin Republicans took over the state in a big red wave, and they redistricted the maps in a big fat gerrymander. Now, I should show you what a gerrymander is. The gerrymander. Let me get some more coffee. Okay. Yeah, what is a gerrymander? Man, I can't believe, like, now it's slow. It's almost like a should index. Can you index this thing? So here's how gerrymandering works. Here's an example of gerrymandering. I'm gonna pause the game while I explain this. So you have a district. You have a district that's divided about 2, so like 40% green and 60% yellow. So if you're making 5 districts and you want to make them like fair, right? You can do it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, but when you do it this way, it's not really like, I don't know. I guess it's fair, right? If you're I don't know. No, this is not fair because if you draw it like this, I don't know. Damn it. There we go. That's what I want. All right. This is a better way of doing it. All right. 50 people, 60% blue, 40% red. So perfect representation would have 3 blue districts and 2 red districts, right? Because um, that's 60% blue and 40% red. A compact but unfair way would to draw the districts like this, where sure it's compact, but in this arrangement, your government is going to look like 5 blue districts and 0 red districts. So red will have 0 representation in the government, and blue will control everything. That's not fair. That means your government doesn't represent your people at all. Number 3 is even worse. Not even worse, but number 3 is another tricky way. Number 3 shows you in a way that, remember, it's 60% blue, 40% red. So red only has 40% of the population. They don't have a majority of the population. Okay, but if you draw the districts in such a way that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, red wins. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, red wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, red wins. And then we have all the blue crammed into one. What does that do? It makes it that even though red has only 40% of the population, they control the government. They have 60% of the government. So that's minority ruling over the majority. That's not fair either. Neither one of these are fair. Right? Neither one of these are fair. You want, in a democracy, you want the government to be a reflection of the people. That's ideal. You want the government to be a reflection of the people. That's why you want to invest in the people, because then your government will have a great thing to reflect upon. So it makes it like there ought to be more members of Congress who come from working class, and less members of Congress who are like a dynasty. All right. So in Wisconsin, what they did was this one right here. Even though they had less votes, they set it up so that they had control of the government. Even though Republicans had less votes in the state, they made it so that they had control of the government. So back to this one. Man, Windows. I hate this new Windows. So the map. there's Wisconsin. So in 2004, before the redrawn maps, like this is before the big red wave, you can see that like there's pretty large swaths of blue all over the place, right? But then in 2016, like the this didn't change. The people didn't change. The only thing that changed is the way they drew the maps. Remember, Republicans took power in 2010 and redrew the maps so that blue had like all this representation is gone. There's nothing there, and even half of this stuff is gone. And even this is even this stuff up here, even this stuff up there is like shrunk away. Like, so they made terrible maps in order to get this done. And then after they made terrible maps, they did lots of bad things. Governor Scott Walker like did terrible things to the state of Wisconsin, and the state legislature did terrible things, and they like crammed in. But they could do it because like they captured all aspects of the government, the judiciary, the legislature, and the governor. Well, after a lot of work, and as more and more evil shenanigans came out from the Republican Party, like eventually an opening happened, and there was an election for the Supreme Court again, and the people came out, and in a landslide, the Democratic judge won the election. So that tilted the power of the Wisconsin Supreme Court from Republicans back to Democrats. So when that happened, somebody, I don't know who, somebody sued and said, look, dudes, your map is not fair. Your maps are like, is not fair. The maps make it so that the government does not represent the people. So they're unjust, they're illegitimate. You have to do something to fix the maps in the interest of justice. So, remember, Republicans are not so interested in democracy. They don't care. but Democrats are more interested in democracy in general. So since the Wisconsin court now tilts toward the Democrats, they're more interested in preserving democracy. So they say, okay, let's take a look at these maps again to see if they're any, if they're like good maps, if they accurately represent the people of Wisconsin. And they don't. They obviously don't. Totally, they totally don't. So this makes, this is going to threaten the power of Republicans in Wisconsin. If they can't gerrymander the vote, if they can't like exclude Democrats from the democratic process, then they're not going to be able to control the Wisconsin government anymore. They're not going to have power. If in a free and fair election is what I'm saying. They would lose in a free and fair election. So Wisconsin Republicans know this. So they're looking for ways to somehow get rid of the newly elected judge, because the newly elected judge is the one that tilted the power away from from Republicans and back to the Democrats. So since they can't stop they already gerrymandered and they still lost the vote. They gerrymandered and still lost the vote. And so now that liberal judge is on the panel, and so now Republicans are gonna impeach. They're gonna impeach the judge, the newly elected judge. And why? It doesn't. Remember, Republicans don't need a why. It's not about the why. We know why. It's because that judge threatens the power of Republicans. There's no legitimate reason. It's not like the judge did anything wrong. It's simply just because the judge threatens the power of Republicans in Wisconsin. Here, the story from Scott Bauer. Uh, Wisconsin Republican leader won't back down from impeachment threat against Supreme Court justice. Madison, Wisconsin. The Republican leader of Wisconsin's assembly refused to back down Thursday from possibly impeaching a newly elected liberal state Supreme Court justice over her refusal to step aside in a redistricting case, even after two former conservative justices advised him against the unprecedented move. Unprecedented. How many unprecedenteds have we had from Republicans? Like it's unprecedented. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos originally threatened to impeach Justice Janet Protasewicz if she did not recuse from the redistricting challenge, which is backed by Democrats seeking to throw out Republican-drawn electoral maps. But Protasewicz said last week she's staying on the case. Now, Vos is tying possible impeachment to how she rules on the case, emphasizing the importance of following past precedent. Shit. As if Republicans like cared about precedent. So Republicans are not like Republicans don't use impeachment in good faith. they use it for power, for pure power. Like he already said, it's not about anything she's done. He just wants to remove her because he doesn't like her ruling. That's exactly what he said. It's pure power for Republicans. They just don't care. What else do I got here? Remember how I told you that it's important that Democrats are the ones who fill those federal judgeships because they're for life, and if you get a bad judge in there, they can have severe implications. And I said, case in point, Judge Eileen Cannon of Florida, District Judge of Florida. Donald Trump appointed her after he lost the election. Then he worked to make sure he got her, or he tried real hard to create the favorable outcome that he would draw her from the lot, that he would hear his case. And since then, she has been entertaining every single one of Donald Trump's lawyers' like ridiculous motions. Every single one of them. Even if she gets reversed by the 11th Circuit Courts of Appeals, she's like already she's been like reversed and smacked down. But she's still every opportunity because she's beholden to Donald Trump. Her and Donald Trump are on the same team. So even though the Mar-a-Lago case started like first, like really early, Donald Trump wants to push it out to after the election in hopes that Donald Trump could take power as president and then order the Justice Department to stop the investigation into him. That's his only hope. So if he's in court, he can't do that. So he needs the court date to be after the election. Now, that's ridiculous. No one's going to push out a court case just so you can run for president. But, and so that's why it's good that we have two court cases going on at the same time. Another court case going on in D.C. has a different judge, like Chutkin or something, Judge Chutkin. And that court case started after the Mar-a-Lago case in Florida, but it's going to end sooner because Judge Chutkin isn't beholden to Donald Trump. She's independent. Unlike Judge Cannon. Oh man, it's super dark. You can't see anything. And I don't have a what's it called? I don't have anything. So you can look at both. Oh, nice! I'm almost home. So you can look at both court cases, and you can see the difference between them. One case is going very, very quickly, and Donald Trump doesn't like it. The other case is going real slowly, and Donald Trump loves it. What's the difference? Is it the judges? Maybe it's corruption. Oh, look at that. A tweet from Hugo Lowell. Conflicts hearing for Trump valet Walt Naruta's lawyer Stanley Woodward in classified docs case has been postponed, and judge admonished prosecutors after they suggested Woodward should be precluded from making summation to a judge based on his prior defense of a trial witness. So, in other words, Donald Trump wants to delay the case. Now, his co-defendants are Walt Nauta and like a guy named like De Oliveira. So De Oliveira and Walt Nauta are just like employees of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump tasked them to move around the stolen documents and to destroy them. How did they destroy them? How did they try to destroy them? They tried to route the pump. They tried to flood the computer surveillance room with water from the pool by draining the pool into the computer surveillance room. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It's in the indictment. Like we have photos. It's so obvious that Donald Trump stole this, but the judge is Judge Cannon, who's corrupt and who's a Donald Trump lackey. So she is going to do everything in her power to delay the case until after the election, just as Donald Trump wanted. Donald Trump is guilty, for sure. So all he can do is delay the case for as long as possible. Update number 2. De Oliveira. After conducting a full Garcia hearing, Judge Cannon found that De Oliveira knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waived his right to proceed with a conflict-free counsel. So what does that mean? What are you talking about? De Oliveira's counsel, John Irving, no longer represents 3 clients who the DOJ may call as witnesses at the trial. My personal okay. So Donald Trump pays for the lawyer for De Oliveira and for Nauta. Donald Trump is not doing this because he loves them and he wants them and he thinks they're good people. He's doing it because they can point to him as as the source of the orders for the documents. So in order to cover his own ass, Donald Trump is paying for lawyers, not to help them, but to position them so they won't hurt Donald Trump. That's the whole point. They're not there to save the De Oliveira or Nauta. They're there to help Donald Trump. Now the DOJ is saying, wait a minute, wait a minute. You were also, that same lawyer was also representing these 3 guys over here. I don't know their names, but these 3 guys over here stopped. They said, no, you know what, Donald Trump, we're not going to be on your team. We're going to get our own lawyers. Thanks. And so now they're over here. Now they're in opposition, right? Now you have opposition. These guys, Donald Trump lawyers, were talking to these people, but now they're over here. So this guy is the lawyer, was the lawyer for both the defense and the opposition, the prosecution. That's a conflict of interest, right? That's conflict of interest. How can you represent both um, the defense and the prosecution in a case? How can you do that? The DOJ said, you know what? I think Nauta and De Oliveira, because of this conflict of interest, they probably ought to get new counsel, their own lawyers. They should probably get their own lawyers since this conflict of interest exists. Like, because remember, Donald Trump's lawyers are not there to help Nauta and De Oliveira. They're there to help Donald Trump. And now they have people that are talking to prosecution that were talking to the lawyer. And so they can all point out and say, no, you're lying here, and you told me something different here and there. I don't know, right? I'm not a lawyer dude. I don't really know for sure. All I know is that the DOJ said, look, the Trump lawyers can't be representing both the defense and the prosecution. They can't be doing it. And the Trump lawyer is saying, "Oh yeah, I can. Sure, no problem." Right? You guys don't care, right? De Olivia and Nauta, you guys don't care, right? Right? You don't care that I did both sides. You don't care, right? and these guys are saying, I guess they're saying, yeah, we don't care. Okay. So my personal observation, Katie Fang, my personal observation, it appears that De Oliveira did not fully comprehend what was going on in court, possibly because of a language barrier or because of a lack of understanding as to what Cannon was asking of him. But in the end, he chose to proceed with Irving, despite the possibility that Irving may not cross-examine his former clients or argue in summation to the jury with the same vigor as an attorney who never had a conflict. So I guess that's the deal, right? Oh, you were representing these guys, but now they flipped on you? Yeah, you can't cross-examine them. Because you used to represent them, and now you don't represent them. now they're in opposition to you. So like there's a conflict of interest, and the DOJ is like, don't you want like clean representation, De Oliveira, Nauta? And I guess they said nope. They're staying loyal to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is using them as pawns to delay his own case. Keep in mind too that De Oliveira, in using Irving and his local counsel, has attorney fees paid by Trump-related sources. So that's the crux of it. That's the crux of it. Donald Trump is paying for these lawyers, not for the benefit of them, but whatever. De Oliveira has been represented in the probe by John Irving, an attorney whom the DOJ noted in a Wednesday night filing is also representing 3 others they may seek to call as a witness in a trial. Potential conflict of interest arise from Mr. Irving's concurrent representation of De Oliveira's and the 3 potential witnesses. Mr. Irving's representation of the 3 potential witnesses raises the possibility that he might be in position of cross-examining current clients, the DOJ wrote. De Oliveira is facing charges for obstruction of justice and lying to authorities. Among Irving's clients is a witness the DOJ said has information demonstrating the falsity of statements De Oliveira has made to the government. The same witness also has information about De Oliveira's loyalty to Trump and about De Oliveira's involvement in the replacement of a lock at the direction of Trump on a closet inside Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago on June 2, 2022, the day Walt Nauta and De Oliveira moved boxes in and out of storage on the property. Irving did not immediately respond to requests for a comment. The DOJ argues that even if De Oliveira wishes to keep Irving as his attorney, the court should review that choice. That comes from, That comes from this story. DOJ raises conflict of interests with De Oliveira attorney in Mar-a-Lago case by Rebecca Bates. So, why is this important? Why am I even blabbing on about this? Because this is a important test of the American democracy and the American justice system. Like, can a white rich dude, literally try to overthrow the government with violence? That's the question. And it should have been answered 150 years ago. But the Confederates staged a coup, assassinated Lincoln, and Andrew Johnson let all the Confederates back into government and spared the Confederacy and allowed it to fester. It's like they didn't cut out all of the cancer. So I don't want it to come to the point of a civil war. That would be awful. That would be awful. But at what point does a civil war make sense? Or at what point does not what point does it make sense? Because it almost never makes sense. But remember, Thomas Jefferson was all about like government representing the people. And when you on purpose make the government not represent the people, that makes you an enemy of democracy. So look for the way you can tell apart fascists and unionists, Confederates and unionists, is that Confederates try to curtail voting. They try to curtail voting, either through putting barriers like voter ID, or they want to implement tests or implement a poll tax. For example, in Florida, the people, through an initiative process, the voters directly instructed the government to allow ex-felons to vote once again. Why is that a big deal? Because historically, incarceration and felony status has been used as a way of eliminating minority votes. If you heavily over police minority populations and get them involved in the carceral system and take away and get them to have felonies and remove their ability to vote, then they don't have political power or representation. And they're not represented in government. And then if your goal is to make the government not look like the people, well, you put in these terrible policies that add barriers. So you don't want people to vote, right? So the people are trying to get ex-felons to vote again, which is great, right? You served your time, you did your due, you did your stuff. Welcome back to democracy, guy or girl or whatever. Man. But that thwarts, if your goal is to stop people from voting, that thwarts your goal from voting. So remember, currently the government of Florida is fascist. It's controlled by Republicans, white supremacists. And white supremacists don't like democracy. So in response to the people re-enfranchising ex-felons, the government, the fascist government of Florida, instituted a poll tax, saying that, well, guys, guess what? We say you cannot vote, you don't get your voting rights back until you finish paying off all the debt that you owe the state of Florida. And what is that debt? We don't know. Oh, like we're not gonna tell you. Nah, you don't know. You don't know if you have it or if you don't. And if you do, you don't know what it is. And if you if you know what it is, you don't know where to pay it. Ah, and even if it is, how do you prove it? Ah, like there's like so. I'm not just making it up, right? In Florida, the Republican legislature, in response to the reenfranchisement of ex-felons, passed a law saying that they couldn't vote unless they paid all of their fees associated with being incarcerated, and like, or whatever, right? There was somewhere, there was a ledger of some supposed fees that they owed, and that if they voted before they took care of those fees, they would be arrested for some kind of crime and sent back to prison for violation of the parole or something. Something crazy, right? So severe punishment for something that you cannot remedy and don't even know if you even have, and you can't find out. If you're an ex-felon, the last thing you want to do is go back to prison. So in other words, the Republicans scared the shit out of ex-felons so that they wouldn't even try to vote. They scared the shit out of minority populations, so they wouldn't even try to participate in democracy. Otherwise, they would send secret police, and they did. The Florida Republicans created like an enforcement thing that literally sent police after people who voted. When they had pieces of paper that said they could vote, that they legally could vote. Like, man. So why am I flipping out? Because for me, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is like the state using, coming after individual freedoms and individuals. It's the same thing that happened to the Jews with the Nazis, right? The Nazis became the government and then turned on the Jews and murdered them en masse. It can happen. It's happened before. For Black Americans, their history is literally that. It's literally the state turning on them and taking away their humanity. They can tell you about it. Like, we're living in the wake of it, in the aftermath. We're still dealing with it. It hasn't been. It's not over. It's not done. We're still in the middle of it. Yeah, it's a horrible thing to have the state turn on you like that. So you can see that the Republicans are not interested in spreading democracy, but in concentrating power into their own hands. Yeah, it's weird how the United States is a battleground still. Check it out. I mean, here's more evidence of, like, to make a distinction between what's going on. Tweet by Empty Wheel. The leading Republican candidate for president spoke fondly about Hezbollah. The leading Republican candidate for president blew up his own worth by up to 3 times. Remember, he got his company Trump org is forbidden from existing in New York anymore because they found out he's indicted for this. He on purpose inflated his net worth so he could get bigger loans, and then he turned around and he deflated his assets on his taxes, so he had to pay less taxes. That's fraud, dude. That's fraud. He fucking cheated. So the political press has no interest in either of these details. Besides that, the leading Republican candidate is an insurrectionist who literally tried to overthrow the United States and end democracy. Who like they just don't care. The press is complicit with the dissemination of fascism because it's good for business. Remember the history. God, remember history, man. Remember history. Pericles. Ancient Greece. Remember ancient Greece. That's where our beginnings are from. You got to remember our beginnings. The United States is not unique. Yeah, we're the end. We're the current manifestation of a long line. So, and that line, a large part of it is found in ancient Greece, in the first iteration of this form that we call democracy. Not the first iteration, but like the one that we draw our inspiration from. Our culture basically draws its inspiration from. That's the ancient Greece. Um, ancient Greece was basically a bunch of like camps. Imagine that it's just a bunch of people camping, groups that are camping there, next to each other, and another group comes along with they have big weapons. They have lots of weapons and strong dudes, and they're like, hey guys, we're gonna like come through and like, take you back to our land and make you do a bunch of work for us. And if you try to stop us, we'll kill you with our big sharp weapons. So the camp is like, oh no, we gotta stop them. So the camp bands together with their own sharp weapons, and like they clash, and then like either they win, either the camp wins, and they're like, yay, we're still here, or then the army comes and says, yay, we win, you guys, we killed you to the point that you give up, and now you're our slaves. Ta-da! And so once maybe there was still a settlement there, maybe, but they have to like pay taxes and like grain, and like their children get taken away, and like shit like that. Slavery, bad stuff. Well, eventually, I guess, I don't know, the ancient Greeks like got together and said, you know what, let's oh man, it's such a long story. Why did I even start on this? Anyways, it used to be kings and queens, aristocracy, and the ancient Greeks like got rid of that, or not got rid of it, but evolved out of that. I don't know how they did it. They got out of it. They changed it from aristocracy to democracy. They tried out democracy, where citizens of the city voted on stuff instead of just listening to a king or the and 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 for a while it was good. It was balanced. There was a balance. But at one point, because like at one point it was all the aristocracy had all the power, and that was it. Well, then it started shifting to the merchants, the rich people. The merchants are the ones who had the money, the material wealth, and the connections to create trade and stuff. And merchants, the merchants, and the power kind of balanced out. But then eventually the aristocracy lost their power. They were no longer the rulers of society. Then it became the rich, the materially wealthy people who controlled society in ancient Greece. Thucydides can tell you about that. Thucydides wrote like the first political history. Thucydides, the first political history and it's important because it shows you how, like, he wrote about things that he could not possibly have witnessed. But he could do so because he was able to analyze the dynamics, the power dynamics. And then so Athens and Sparta, like, and all the other Greek city-states banded together to fight off the Persians 2 times. And then when they did it the second time, they were basically independent. But like, what does that mean to be independent? They weren't really independent. Like, Athens is like, great, and Sparta's like, great. Well, there's a bunch of other city-states too, not just Athens and Sparta. I don't really know their names. Thebes and okay, anyways, not Thebes. That's like Egypt. Anyways, I forget because I'm just doing off the cuff. Yeah, like they had to like have their own leagues, right? Like the city states kind of like, you know, banded together. Not band, but like Athens kind of like had their own little league, and Sparta had their little group of friends. So each like, and they're like the leaders of their groups. Athens and Sparta, the leaders of their little groups, and like they were rivals, and so they it got to the point where they started fighting each other. Um, and they fought each other for like years and years and years, and they came to a standstill. And during this standstill, it gets to my point finally, man. Sorry it took me so long. During this standstill, the Athenians got this harebrained idea because they're more interested in wealth than anything else. They got this harebrained idea to try and invade Syracuse on what is now Sicily. Crazy idea because you know it's really far away, and they just got out of a war with Sparta. But and there was a really good politician by the name of Pericles who warned them, don't do it, guys, don't do it. It's a bad idea. This is like a bad idea to do it. But something happened. A scandal happened. You know, the city had like a display of statues that represented the muses, the spirits of art. And somebody went around and desecrated all of those statues and messed them all up. And the outrage, oh my gosh, the outrage from the desecration of the muses, oh my goodness, was so fierce that it created a swell of support for invading Syracuse on way the fuck over there. when Sparta's right next to you. And Pericles is like, all right, guys, like I believe in democracy, and since our democracy has gone in this direction, okay, I mean, like I kind of got to do what the people want, right? And even though he advised against it, and so he's got the Greek, you know, Sparta together, all the money together, all the equipment, all the men together, all the ships together, all the logistics together to go invade Syracuse, way the fuck over in Sicily. And they did, right? Well, along the way, along that voyage, while that was taking place, a plague hit Athens, because you know it happens a lot in ancient times for just plagues to come and kill like swaths of your population, large swaths of your population. And that's what happened. A plague came through Athens. Pericles got the plague and died. The great leader, the great politician, the great level-headed dude who got them through the stuff, he died. And then the only ones they had for leaders then were the merchants, who didn't really have standards. Their only standard was money. So, it's a so they're like, yeah, money, let's go invade this other country, this other city state, and take their shit and make money. Well, it didn't work out that way, dudes. It was pretty bad. The Athenian force landed in on Sicily, tried to defeat Syracuse, got their asses handed to them, and they limped back to like what's left of them limped back to Athens to tell of the great defeat. And then shortly after that, Sparta decided, hey guys, let's start back up again. But Athens went to the opposite direction and like spent all her forces on a pointless conquest war on the other side of the Mediterranean. And then so Athens was kind of exhausted, you know. And then Sparta came back up, and then so they fought for like 5 more years, but Athens couldn't hold out because she threw all her shit over there, right? And that was the end of it. That was the end of like the democratic experiment. But there was a golden moment where there was a balance. Like you gotta have, gotta have standards. Okay. And now, so if you think about that, you come to our present moment. Come, bring, take that seed from our collective, the collective memory of Americans, right? This belongs to every American. That story I gave you belongs to every American. Is it your culture? Kinda, because that's what this is growing out of, right? That's what this whole democracy idea is growing out of. The form of democracy that the ancient Egyptian or ancient Greeks made was kind of shitty. Like you had to be like not a slave, you had to be male. And yeah, and that some city states let women vote, I think, but maybe not. Um, yeah, women didn't have very many rights. Didn't have as many rights as men back then. Um, but yeah, it was a shitty form of democracy because it was built on slavery, man. Yeah, 20% of the yeah. If only men, landowning men, could vote, that were basically you got rid of like 80% of the population of your city state because most of it was slaves. I wouldn't say I don't know. I don't know actually what percentage population was slaves, but it was a master slave system, dude. They were based on slaves, so it was an imperfect form. It was imperfect. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, we need to go back to that. No, 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 no. I'm just I'm not saying it was the best. I'm just saying that's the beginning and we should like look back as to what was the inspiration for the start and what are the pitfalls that led to that falling. One of the pitfalls. And one of the pitfalls was losing a sense of perspective, objectivity, losing standards. So Donald Trump now came out of nowhere. Yo, Papoy came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, what the hell are you talking about? Ancient Greeks and Americans being connected? What are you talking about, man? And the balance between objectivity and so what are you talking about? And like, look at this entire giant thing you made. What the hell does that even represent? Like, right? How you doing, Senor Papoy? Senor Papoy. Ow. Ooh, wait a minute. Oh my God, what? Oh, okay. Anyways, so what was I talking about? So right now in this time, we are faced with oh, well, cool, dude. You're a magician. So Papoy here is typing in chat that he is a magician and he can fly. That's great. Me too, man. Check this out. Whoa. You know who else can? You know who else can fly? The Lithids. So cool. Me too, dude. I like to fly around. I like to fly around with this mod. Do a barrel roll. It makes things look really cool. Ugh. Ah! It's a mod. It's a mod called Do a Barrel Roll for Java. It's fantastic, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's a great mod. I love this mod. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a mod. I'm playing modded Minecraft here. It's kind of dark, can't see. A little bit choppy too, but you know. Well, it's a lot of things, right? It's a lot of things that's going on. I'm using shaders. So the shaders I'm using are called rethinking voxels. And the neat thing about these shaders is that it makes sharp shadows. The light is not volumetric. Instead, it's I don't voxels. I don't even know what voxels are. That's so funny. I don't. But that's what this uses. This uses voxels instead of volumetric lighting, so it can make sharp shadows. And I really, really dig it. It makes it look really nice. Yeah, bedrock. I do not have to have shaders on bedrock. I believe you must have an NVIDIA card. Maybe not, but I don't know. I haven't played bedrock in a long time. But yeah, look at and then the other thing it does is that I think it does directional light maps. So you can kind of see like how the light like is comes off the brick. But yeah. Let me get some more coffee, all right? I'm still here. You can still hear me. I'm still talking. I have no more coffee. I should make more. Let me make more coffee. Hold on. So yeah, what I'm talking about, Papoy, I don't know what country you're from, sir. I don't know what country you're from. But I try to make I try to take a more global perspective, but I'm primarily interested in the United States. There's a project that I'm aware of. It's the American project. What is the American project? The American project is to expand liberty and justice and truth to all humans and to free them, not through force, but through enlightenment. Yeah, violence is not the way. But the problem is the United States is not like some perfect, pristine, pure entity. It is a entity born of the world, and it has original sin. The original sin of the United States is slavery and genocide. The United States could not exist without slavery. The United States could not exist without genocide of the native people and the theft of their land. Couldn't happen. It just could. You know, the United States can be as good as, you know, can say whatever it has to say or say whatever it needs to say, but the truth remains. It couldn't even be here unless there was slavery or genocide. Just like the original son of humans. Indonesia. Oh, hey, dude. So you don't even know you don't even know what I'm talking about when I say original sin. That's a Christian thing. Sorry about that. Oh, dude, are you Muslim? That's cool. Tell me about Islam. I don't know much about Islam. I know a little bit, but not a lot. Because I use stories from Christianity to talk to Americans. But I also use stories from, but I'm not like only using Christian stories. I try to use all stories. So the more stories I have, the better. And sure, dude, I would love to hear a Muslim story. Do you have a short Muslim story? Like, do you have a story that you can tell me? Something Muslim. Tell me about Islam. How about that? Like here, let me tell you. Let me give you a base, because like, that's a big question. Let me give you a base of so you know what kind of understanding that I have. From my understanding, Islam is based on the teachings of Muhammad. Muhammad was basically like a sheep herder. He was just like a whatever person. He was like a whatever person, and then all of a sudden, he um he became like he wrote down and he recited like this beautiful thing. And he's a sheep herder. And it shouldn't have, it couldn't have been possible. But it did, and it happened. So that got written down. That got written down into the Quran. And then it just has a bunch of teachings, and that's what Muslims follow. That's basically my understanding. And it's the same, that y'all worship the same God as the Jewish people and as the Christian people. Everyone, all three of them have the same God. It's like, don't you guys like? And the Quran, the way the Quran says it is that Jesus didn't really die or something. He like went away, but also that Jesus isn't Jesus isn't like the son of man and risen and shit like that and stuff like that. That he's a prophet, not like the Messiah. Right? And it's funny. Because Christians can't really say "nuh-uh" without invalidating their own religion. So I don't know. It's whatever. It's funny. That's all I know. So how does the stream look? Does it look like a good stream? Is it all right? Or is it not pleasant? Hoping the stream is okay. Ooh. So, Papoy says, on my understanding, Muhammad was a prophet who needed to teach the Quran and the truth about Allah, God, who is the only God, the one and only God. And they call the one and only God, they call him Allah. Right? But Allah and God and Yahweh are all the same thing. They're just different names for the same God. Okay. Oh, she get glass. Need some glass. Like, look at these shadows, man. They're cool. I know there's, so I use stories. I mean, I just like talking about stuff. But also, Isa, yeah. But it's the same person though. The important thing is it's the same person. Where's my glass, man? Oh, there's some glass. So, Papoy says in Islam, Jesus was not named Jesus. No, he was named Isa. Let's see. What if I go like this? Oh, look, I already did it. So this used to be bedrock. I couldn't break it, and now I can. Ha 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 ha. So I can see what's over here now. Because the skeleton spawner is kind of broken. Salem. Isa Allah Allahi Alaihi Salam. Oh, it looks like it's a good one. Oh, the wrong one. Oh shit. This is working as intended. Okay, good. I can see now here. What's going on? I'm gonna break those two things. So yeah, what is going on, dude? Why aren't you going up? Did I make this wrong? No, you fool. Glass. More glass. I can see what's happening. What's happening? I put the signs like on these blocks. Crazy, man. Why? Why would you do that to yourself? Okay. So the skeletons... oh, I think it's because there's a second drop. If I make it... It's not smoothly flowing. I was talking about stuff, and now I'm playing Minecraft. What time is it? Dude, I have all this stuff. Why are you playing Minecraft? Okay, Papoy says, there is some story when Muhammad was at war, his chest was bleeding, and he was trying to not make the blood drop on the earth. because every enemy who makes his blood drop on Earth will die instantly. Ooh, dude. Okay. So to save people, to save his enemy, he tried to like stop it from happening. Interesting. Compassion. The compassion he's showing. You know what? Maybe I should... Oh, it's an old school elevator. That's why, dude. It's a terrible elevator. Look how bad this elevator is. What if I... Yeah, dude, that's terrible. Terrible. Well, if I replace that third one, it'll... with a solid block, maybe... I don't like how it just sits there. No. Oh, he goes up eventually. But not really, dude. The whole thing's like... Try like this. All right, just go up. Oh, it's almost there. What if I put a stair instead? Go, go, go. An upside down stair. Oh, no, not quite upside down. No, you've wrecked it. No, that's not how I want it. Nope. How about if I go like... breaking everything. I didn't do anything. Still there. Damn it. Okay, come on. Is that drop necessary? Maybe if I put another brick there. Oh, I see what's wrong. Maybe no, or do I? Or do I? There needs to be like a sucking thing. There isn't. So it does have to go like 2. Doesn't suck you out, huh? There's no sucking motion. Come on, go in there. He's just not gonna do it, man. Well, I can work on the efficiency of this later, I guess, if I'm not really interested. I need to keep going on my show, man. I totally forgot about it. I forgot about my show. He was saving all the humans. That's good. Save all the humans. I'm down for saving humans. I agree with saving humans. Okay, what else do I got? Ta-da-da. Proud Boy. Proud Boy, ex-GOP committee member, convicted on January 6th charges. So this dude right here, I don't know who his name is, but he's convicted on trying to overthrow the government of the United States. Well, I don't know about specifically that, but in relation to that. And he's a member of the Republicans, of the Republican Party. Go figure. Birds of a feather flock together. Russians. Okay, this tweet by Press Gazette. Marina Yanikova, the Russian journalist who denounced the invasion of Ukraine live on air, suddenly fell ill and was hospitalized yesterday. The Paris prosecutor's office said she suspects she's been poisoned. So Russia uses poison a lot to kill Russians who don't even live in Russia. They don't even live in Russia. But Russia sends spies and agents into foreign countries to do Russian stuff on foreign soil. That's not nice, dude. You can't be killing people that exist in our countries. You know, that kind of violence is reserved for the state, for our state, after due process. There's a process. You can't just go in and murder people. Ow, super hot coffee. Okay. So Russia's bad is what I'm saying. Russia, the gas pipeline, Baltic Connector. This is from Visegrad. Visegrad? I don't know. The gas pipeline, Baltic Connector between Finland and Estonia, has started leaking. Finland launches probe on the premise of criminal sabotage. Finnish newspaper Itellect writes, Finnish officials are convinced that Russia has attacked the pipeline. Developing story. So there's a pipeline that connects Finland to Estonia, which is like a bad thing. Why would Russia attack the pipeline, sabotage the pipeline, dudes? Why would they do that? So Papoy says he is neutral position. I would say that Russia is in the bad position. I would say Russia's in the bad position. Russia is an authoritarian country, authoritarian state. It doesn't have jurisdiction. It doesn't have control of anything in other countries. So if Russia sends its agents into a country to murder people, that's bad. That's wrong. I mean, doesn't Islam tell you that murder is wrong? I mean, But see yeah, you may not have enough information to make a decision about about what's to understand what's happening. But understand that Russia is the bad guy. Basically, Russia is the bad guy. Why is Russia the bad guy? Because Russia invaded another country with its military to kill people and take their stuff. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's not in the interest of peace and love. What Russia does is the opposite of peace and love. So you so morally you cannot remain neutral. What does Islam say? What does Islam say about that? If a Muslim sees an injustice in front of them, like, must they remain neutral? Must they simply observe the injustice taking place? Can they not act? Are they not instructed to preserve life? Like, if Muhammad wanted to save all of humans, why would Muhammad condone? Why would Muhammad be okay with Russia attacking a people for no reason, attacking the Ukrainians for no reason? It's the opposite of what Muhammad wants. It's it's the exact opposite. What Russia has done is the exact opposite of what Muhammad wants. I mean, I don't know, right? But I only say that because you tell me that Muhammad wants to save all the humans. All if you want peace in Ukraine, that's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. The only thing that has to happen for peace in Ukraine is for Russia to withdraw back to Russia. Go back to Russia. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing that has to happen. Russia goes back to Russia. That's it. It's so easy. It's so simple. So here's a map of where Russia is. The border is Russia's border with every other country, and that pipeline that happened that was broken was right in here. This is the pipeline. So outside of Russia's borders, right? Outside of Russia's borders. Just like they killed that person in France, or they poisoned that woman in France, in Paris. They left Russia to go attack somewhere else. You can't. That's not just. You can't do that. And it's hard for the Americans to say anything. I understand, because what did the Americans do? Well, I wouldn't say the exact same thing, but the drone campaign wasn't so good. All right. Well, I was gonna talk about more stuff, but I'm afraid now because I have a interesting audience, not the audience I anticipated. Yeah, if you're in the interest of peace and love, then you support Ukraine. Russia steals children away from people. Russia steals Ukrainian children and brings them to Russia to turn them into Russians. Russia like sends missiles to kill Ukrainian children and civilians. Like, again and again and again. It's not just one time. It happens all the time. If you're interested in peace and love, then you support Ukraine. Oh man, I've lost. Okay. Just remember. I don't know. I don't. Just remember. That's it. The Russian government, yes. Putin, yes, wants to revive the USSR. Oh, Papoy says maybe they want to revive. Maybe the Russians want to revive the Soviet Union. And I say I agree with Papoy. Yes, the Putin wants to bring back the Soviet Union. But understand, what is the Soviet Union? The Soviet Union was Russian control of other countries. That's literally what is the Soviet Union. The Russians invaded other countries and took them over, and it drained their resources to feed Moscow. That is literally what is the Soviet Union. So when the Soviet Union was no longer able to maintain control over the territories they conquered, those territories became independent, like Poland and Ukraine and Georgia. They became independent. They took control of their own resources, their own destiny. They were not being used to feed Moscow anymore. So yes, you are exactly correct. The Putin, who is not there democratically, Putin does not hold power because the people of Russia want him to hold power. No, he's a criminal. You're right. Every country has a dark side. But the difference is, can you face your dark side? Can you face it? Can you face it? Because if you face it, you're going to face the truth. And the truth is the thing that we all should be looking towards. Would you say that Allah is the truth? Mr. Papoy, would you agree that Allah is the truth? We should all be looking to the truth. And if the truth says you have a dark side, we must face it and say, yes, I have a dark side, and I will face what this dark side is. So that's why I told you in the beginning. I don't know if I told you, but I must say again, I must repeat. Yes, the United States has a dark side. I use the concept of original sin, but that's Jewish. That goes back to the or is that Jewish? No, that's Christian. I don't know. Well, it was Jewish. It was Jewish. And then Jesus came along and like washed it away, I guess. Through John the Baptist came along and said you could wash it away. So this guy came along and said you can get rid of original sin or whatever. But anyways. The United States, you are correct, has a dark side. The dark side is that the United States is comprised of an alliance between people who believe in democracy and people who believe in slavery. Yes. So the difference is if you try to hide your dark side, if you cannot face your dark side, you can never take care of it. You can never address it. So and you will continue to manifest the dark side if you never address it. So in the instance of the United States, you're right. It has a dark side. It is born of slavery and genocide. The United States. The United States is made out of the slavery, the enslavement of Africans and the genocide of the Native Americans. This is fact. This is the fact. This will never ever go away. It doesn't matter how much America says it believes in or the United States says it believes in freedom and justice and liberty. It doesn't matter. The fact is, it was born out of the enslavement of Africans and the genocide of Native Americans. That will never ever go away. So Americans must face it. They must face it. Every American has this in them if they are an American. Every American bears this because it's part of American history. It's the nature of Americans. So, but it doesn't condemn you to. It doesn't end you. It's always there, no matter what. So you must face it and then act accordingly, so that it is a constant reminder. How can you deny liberty to people who say they are gay, homosexuals? You cannot deny freedom and liberty to people who say they are homosexuals. No matter what, you cannot do it. Because this country is based on freedom and liberty. So if you didn't, and the act of being homosexual does not impact other people's freedom and liberty. It does not. It does not impinge upon anyone else. So no one has a right to impinge on other people for being homosexual. That's just the way it is, right? Now, I don't know what Islam says about that, but from my own understanding and from my own experience, that's the way it is. That's how Americans face their legacy of genocide and slavery, by ensuring they never limit freedom and justice from anybody ever again. Just as Muhammad wanted not to drop any blood so that people wouldn't die, the same thing. Americans have to understand that historically they are guilty of enslaving, of slavery and genocide. So they are obligated never to repeat that ever again. Well, what does that mean, to never repeat the legacy of slavery and genocide? It means to spread liberty and justice to all humans. So Papoy says, every Indonesian people still remember about the dark side about the country, and its name G30SPKI. It's about some community who's killing 7 best soldier. If you want to understand more of it, you can check it on Google. Okay, yeah, thank you. but my country, but so so there's a dark side in the United States. However, there's a group of people who help the dark side. They want to continue the legacy of slavery and genocide. And there was a civil war fought 150 years ago about this. But it ended in a stalemate. It was never resolved. So we're still dealing with the outcome of it. And it has resulted in a paralyzed government. During a time of great crisis, the government is unable to respond because it has never dealt with its legacy of slavery and genocide. The slavers and genociders are still in the government. They're called Republicans. What else do I got here? Funny. Funny how investing in American workers, infrastructure, and manufacturing while reducing America's debts and healthcare costs leads to better job and wage growth than tax cuts for the super rich. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? No, it's not weird. It's what we've been telling you forever. This is the truth of organic farming. The, the the idea of organic farming is that you don't feed the plant, you feed the soil. You feed the soil, not the plant. What goes on in plant growth from a farming perspective is that the plant takes nutrients and energy from the environment to fuel its own growth. So what that means is it puts down roots. In roots, it's to transport nutrients from the soil to the plant, so the plant can use them in growth. Well, it can do it by itself, with no help from the environment, but it's very, very slow. It's not ideal. What is ideal for the plant is for there to be a culture, a bacterial culture already present in the soil, in the medium, because that bacteria culture can help transport nutrients from the soil into the plant roots. It's a symbiotic relationship that develops. And the healthier the soil, the healthier the plant becomes. So your goal in organic farming, when you want to add fertilizer, add nutrients to the system to promote plant growth, if your goal is to promote plant growth, you don't give nutrients directly to the plant. Instead, you give nutrients to the soil that the plant is anchored in, rooted in. And then if the medium is healthy, it will more quickly transport those nutrients into the plant and promote healthy growth than if you just feed the plant directly. If you're trying to ignore the medium and only feed the roots. It's a fact. It's a fact. That's why organic farming is fantastic and great and leads to healthy stuff. Okay, it's the same thing with our economy, the American economy. It's the same thing. Republicans want to feed the plants directly. They want to feed the businesses directly through tax cuts. The problem with feeding the plants, the businesses directly through tax cuts is that many times the only ones who reap the majority of benefit from this method of feeding are the large corporations who don't use the savings and tax cuts to reinvest in their business. Instead, they hoard that money in cash or they dump it in the stock market. They don't use it productively. That's the same, the money doesn't flow anymore. The money pools in an area that doesn't go anywhere and doesn't serve anyone except the very, very wealthy. That's what happens when you cut taxes. It's like trying to feed a plant directly and ignoring the soil. Conversely, when you support the working people through targeted tax cuts, through tax credits like the child tax credit, when you support the working people directly through healthcare, through easy access to healthcare and at no to low cost healthcare, when you make it easy for them to participate in democracy by making it easy to vote through automatic voter registration and mail-in ballots, your society becomes healthier. The people are the culture, the living place through medium where the businesses are drawing their energy and their nutrients. So you want it to be as healthy as possible if you want to promote business growth. You want the people to be as healthy and as wealthy as possible if you want really, really good business growth. Are you hearing me? Are you getting it? You don't feed the plants, you feed the soil. You don't feed the businesses, you feed the people. You direct your policies to help the people. So that's what the Democrats are doing. Republicans are trying to do tax cuts for the rich, and it's not helping anything. Yeah, no, hey, Papoy, that's interesting. Papoy says, there's a group of people named PKI that want to make Indonesia be a communist country like USSR. It's happened at September 30th of 1965. Oh, wow, that's scary. Yeah, you don't want to be like the USSR. You do not want to lose democracy. Democracy is very good. What makes democracy different from the authoritarian communism of USSR? USSR was only communist because of force. The force of the elites threatened violence on the people that imposed the communist rule onto the people. Democracy, on the other hand, it puts the power into the people so that the people have to come together and agree on a government. And then, so the power comes from the people, not from the elite. So it's important that you hold on to democracy. I have been to Indonesia. I was there in 2007. I landed in Medan. I took a ferry from St. George, I think, in Malaysia. Jamestown, something like that. Some colonized name thing in Malaysia. And I took it to a ferry to Medan. Well, a port, and then I took a bus to Medan. Yeah, dude, Medan, crazy town. I didn't see very much of Medan. I stayed my hostel. I stayed at it was a colonial house. It was a plantation house that had been converted to a hostel. That's where I stayed. But I managed to go out to the street and eat some street food. That was good. And then I took a taxi into town to rent to get on the bus to ride all the way to Lake Toba. Yeah, dude, I went all the way to Lake Toba and I think Tuk Island in the middle of Lake Toba. I did it. Yes, I did. It was a crazy trip. Indonesia is crazy. I wouldn't say, it was good. It was a good town. I had a good time. I like the food. I like the people. I like the nature. Now, Indonesia was nice. I did not go to Bali. I did not go to like the big tourist places. I went to Lake Toba. And I climbed up the mountain. I went up and over the mountain. It was crazy. It was, wow, what a story, dude. All right, yeah. All right, well, hey, it's been like a couple hours and a half. I think I told my thing. I talked about Israel-Palestine like last night, and I don't want to repeat it. Well, okay, Papoy, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting, and yeah, I hope I provided some information that made it a little more clear for you about what's happening. But yeah, you cannot remain neutral in the face of injustice. You cannot remain neutral. Until next time, Pogo Kiddo out.